Hi there, today I wanted to show you my way of embossing items. I've got here an Evolution Advanced Embossing and die cut machine. Now I don't use it for die cuts because obviously I have an electronic cutter, so I don't need to. But it does come in very handy for the embossing side of things, which is what I actually wanted it for. So we have here a sample. I don't know if you can easily see it, but this has been embossed with leaves and flowers. And all I had to do to emboss it was to cut this. On my silver bullet, I cut this, and this is made of a lightweight plastic, which is actually a big table mat. It's one of these very lightweight table mats that you might find in the dollar stores or the pound stores. Very flimsy plastic, but it cuts beautifully, and it's great for either stencils or for embossing. And in fact, you can use this for either, and then if you use it as a stencil, just wash it afterwards. Now the thing with the Evolution is it just has a dial to adjust the pressure, so you don't have a lot of different sandwich options, you just have the one. So what we do in this particular case is we have the base plate and we have the latex mat on top of that. And then you want to put your card on top. So I have my piece of card, and I then put my embossing plate that I've made on the top and put the lid on, like so, the self-healing cutting mat. And I've got this one only set to number 6 at the moment on this side. So that may or may not be enough pressure to get the embossing done. But you can see that the handle turns extremely easy. There's virtually no pressure required to turn the handle. Now the beauty of this is that you will probably have many things in your craft stash that you can use to emboss with. And you may be able to do it with other embossing machines. I don't know because I don't have the other embossing machines. But there you have, you can see that it's perfectly embossed with the leaves and the flowers. Now the other things that you can use for embossing, you can use, for example, I have here hearts cut out of watercolour paper. Now these are simply leftovers from designs that I've made for cards, and these are the rubbish bits basically. The bits that I didn't need, but if it's a useful sort of shape, I keep them in a little container for future use. You can also use these sorts of things. I've got here some stars. You can get all sorts of shapes in these, and you can use these to emboss as well. You simply put them on top of your card, sprinkle some of these over the top, like so. I'll just do this on the top half, and then perhaps I'll do the stars from the other jar on the bottom afterwards. I'll do it afterwards simply because I don't want the static to make it difficult for me to separate them out afterwards. So then run this through. Of course, if you want it to stick out on one side or the other, you need to just make sure you've got your card facing one direction or the other. These obviously are going to be inset into the pink card rather than the other way around. Okay, undo my sandwich. I'm just going to knock these off onto the table for the time being. That one's still stuck in there. And as you can see, you have some really great embossing. And obviously it's raised on that side and inset on this side. So if you wanted that bit raised, you'd simply turn the card over when you put them in. Now if I put it this way round, and I'm just going to sprinkle a few stars on, and we'll see what we get from that. I don't want to put too many out because they do tend to get a bit staticky, and I could spend the next half an hour picking them up. Come on, off my finger. Just put them somewhere where you can actually see them. Put the lid on. just roll it through the machine again. Now the beauty of this, as I said, is that you'll find you've got loads of stuff in your craft stash already that you could use. If you have a stencil, you could use that most probably. And here we go, we have some of the stars. Just going to take a few off of the lid that have stuck to the lid part. There we go. And again, put those on the table so that I can pick them up later. Come on. And you can see, probably just about see anyway, the little stars. I mean, those are very tiny anyway. But there we go. So you can use normal card like this to make an embossing plate. You can use table mats, thin table mats. You can use textures. If, for example, you got shelf liner, you can use shelf liner to emboss in a pattern if you like the pattern. Great for backgrounds. So don't feel that you have to buy embossing folders all the time, because you simply don't. Okay, here I've got some acetate. I want to make some bows for the front of my card, and I've got some foil, sticky backed foil here, so I'm going to attach that to the acetate. The advantage of using this is that when you put a bow on the card, the bow doesn't get squashed in the same way that it would if it was made out of card. The acetate is quite resilient. Now here I've got the piece of card that I'm using for the present. I've put double-sided foam tape on the back, and I've used a hole punch to make a hole in the top of it. And I'm using a brad to put all the little pieces of the bow together. So now I've got the bow attached to my parcel, and it's ready to be positioned onto the card front wherever it is that I want to put it. I've got my front panel and I've drawn some diagonal lines with a ruler, and I have some strips of glitter card and some sticky backed velvet. Now the card doesn't have any stickiness on the back of it, so I need to use glue, but the velvet I can later on put down without adding glue to it at all. And I'm just doing alternate rows in the two different mediums. Attaching double-sided foam tape, and I have my sentiments, one cut out in gold glitter card and the other one is cut out of a red metallic, and that's offset, so it will provide a nice border for the sentiment. Adding glue to the sentiment, and now it's ready to put on the card, and I just need to position it. And that's pretty much the card complete. Afterwards I added a few little silver stars just to complete it. And I'm using another piece of card just to push down on the sentiment to stop myself from getting glue all over my fingers when I do that, because I don't want to put glue over my fingers and then put glue bits all over the card. And there we go, all done.